Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. It's just Marco here once again, and I am here today to review Pool Party Massacre. This is a movie that I actually just discovered. I discovered this movie the other day because I was trying to find like a good, fun, modern, like low budget movie to watch because I wanted to watch something really crappy and bad. And I ended up finding this movie and I expected it to be like, bad, like it was so bad that like, you could just sit there and judge it and say like, yeah, that's bad. But the funny thing is that this movie actually turned out to be pretty good. It's not the greatest, and I do think it has some issues, but it is a lot of fun. Apparently, it was only made for $6,000, and that this movie just shows that like Chauncey and his Cool Duder and his bad movies, he has no excuse because he had more money than this guy, and he has not made a good movie yet. And I just think about like the limitation. I could not tell that this movie only cost $6,000. I thought that it seemed like it cost $100,000 at least. Like it actually felt like a decently made, fun '80s throwback horror movie. And I want to talk about it because the guy who made this movie, let's see, he's made, I think, like 2 or 3 other movies. This is from Letterboxd. And I just think, like, this guy needs to make more movies. At least, like, just, I don't know, like, because this was a fun movie. It wasn't a movie that you took very seriously. Like, right off the bat, the opening scene establishes, like, that this is going to be a silly, fun movie. And the opening credits sequence is actually really genius because it has like an 8-bit old-fashioned like video game like look to it. And I thought that's really creative and cool. I think that the poster is really cool. The poster is very much like an 80s poster, and I think I'm really happy with a lot of the posters that I see from lower budget movies because it seems like the lower the budget, the more creativity they put into the poster, because the more that they want you to watch it, because, they know that, when you're scrolling through Tubi, you see the poster. And it's a very smart observation because there's a lot of movies that, they might be good movies. I've seen them before on Tubi, but they have terrible looking posters. And this is one of the ones, though, where it has a great poster and also the tagline, too, worst pool party ever. It actually is the worst pool party ever, I think on purpose. Now, let's get into the movie. It's all about a mean girl, and she is a bitch. She is a classic bitch. A redhead, I think redhead, or maybe strawberry blonde. Strawberry blondes are more evil than blondes. And they're also smarter. Because, blondes can be very dumb. And, strawberry blondes, they are smarter. They are pretty sinister. And this character, she is a sinister character. She falsely accused this guy in high school of like trying to force himself on her, and he was like the family gardener, and she got into a relationship with him and then framed it all as he was a bad guy and destroyed his life. And so she's a terrible person, and she has all her friends over when her parents go. I can't remember where they went. They went on like a trip somewhere. I can't remember, but she has like a pool party with her friends. And, I was like, okay, like, what is this pool party gonna be? Because you got this little group of biatches, and they are very much like the girls from The White Lotus. Like Sydney Sweeney's character, and then that other girl that people like for some reason. They are a lot like those two girls. And, in that show, those two girls, they never got in the pool. They literally, all they did was just sit around and pretend to read books. And they even revealed that on that show. So, I should have realized, oh, it's going to be the same case here. These girls, they're not going to go swimming at all. And, even though it is kind of disappointing because, this is a pool party movie and you're thinking like, wow, what kind of party let's see this party. And the party consists of these girls sitting around, looking at their phones, talking to each other. It's so bad. But it's so good at the same time. And that's the cool thing about this movie is that there's a lot of lower budget movies that, they clearly want to be better than they are. And they don't let themselves have fun with some of the circumstances that they have, the limitations. And so they end up coming across as very pretentious and kind of arrogant. And this movie comes across a lot more like, hey, we're just having fun here. Like, this is a goofy, fun movie. And, it just, these characters in this movie, they are horrible characters. I don't think there's a single character that I actually liked. Even the main girl, there's a final girl. Her name is Nancy, of course, because Nightmare on Elm Street, Nancy. She looks and acts kind of like a little gremlin. And I don't mean that like in a mean way, but like she makes this face the entire movie. Whenever she talks, she always has like a scowl and her eyebrows are scrunched together like, I don't think we should do that. My name is Nancy, and I have been back. Like that is literally what she is like the whole movie. And at the end, it's like, oh, she's the final girl. Like, but the nice thing about her, because I think she's probably the hottest character in the whole movie. They're all pretty hot, and that's another great thing about this movie is that, lower budget movies, they don't care about the whole bullshit thing of like, oh, we can't make women look sexy anymore on screen. This movie, lower budget movies, they say, fuck that. We're going to have sexy babes in our movies, and we're going to, because sex sells. And, this movie is a prime example of that, and there's this beautiful part, probably my favorite scene in the whole movie, in terms of, like, eye candy. There's this part where Nancy is she's being like chased and she's running and you see her running through the whole house and it's a beautiful like series of shots because a lot of women, their proportions are off. They are, I don't want to say anything more, but like Nancy, the actress who plays Nancy, she has probably some of the best proportions I've ever seen, because when she runs, it's like, it's beautiful. It's just like, that's nature. Like that's beautiful nature. It's like, that is why I love the movies right there. Ugh. Excuse me, sorry. And that was my favorite part of the movie, honestly. Like, she is really, I mean, wow. And it's funny because she's not even like a mean girl. She's more of like the quote-unquote nicer girl. And yet she has like a better, like, okay, never mind. Okay, well, let's go backwards. So basically, they're at this pool party and they get killed off. That's the plot of the movie. You guys should figure that out. I mean, I will say, too, the movie lives up to its name, Pool Party Massacre. There are a lot of people who get killed in this movie. And I would say that that's a cool thing because in a lot of horror movies in particular, especially ones with massacre in the title, it never turns out to be a massacre. And I'll say this about this movie is that there's a lot of kills that are kind of similar. And I think that my biggest complaint would be just that in particular. Like, I think that there was a lot of kills where someone would just get a weapon to the head, blood would run down their forehead. But then there were some other really creative kills. There was a really good kill where this girl got, I don't know what it was, but he killed her in the shower with this big garden instrument. And I thought that was a really creative and good low-budget kill. And, that was probably my favorite kill of the whole movie. But there was one, it was really funny, because this was one of the low-budget things that you could see that, like, okay, they messed this up. Because there's this old woman who is, like, the neighbor, and she comes over to see what's going on. She's like, what's going on over there? There's music in the backyard. And she comes over there, and she gets an axe to the head, and you can clearly see that fake blood got into her eye, her right eye. And I was like, oh, God, when I saw that, because back in December, I was shooting a scene for Drimp, which is my first movie that will be coming out this December. Thank you very much. And I had the shot where I had this guy squirt blood on my face with a spray bottle, and he squirted it and got it in my eye, and it was horrible. It was awful. And it's just like corn syrup and food coloring and water, but it was so horrible. It was so irritating. I was like, oh, like that was awful. And so when I saw her get the fake blood in her eye, I was like, oh no. And what's funny is the very next shot, because they have another shot after that, they cut away. You can see clearly that they wiped off the the fake blood in that area, because she was probably like, get this fucking blood off of my face, get this fucking shit out of my eye. Like that they wiped it off. They wiped it all off. Or they smeared it. And so you could clearly tell that. It was really funny. But yeah. So anyways, there's this guy in the movie. I can't remember what his name is, but he's like the friend of one of the only guys who comes over, which thankfully, like, I always hate those kind of horror movies where you have like the cast of dumb girls and dumb guys. So I kind of liked that they only had like two dumb guys in this movie, because they were a handful. One of them in particular, he was kind of a sleazeball. He looked kind of like a drug dealer, and I'm not kidding when I say they spend like the majority of the movie with this guy. Just him talking to these mean girls and trying to get into their pants. And, his character, he gets more and more unlikable as he keeps talking, because he's so annoying, and every time he talks, he has to emphasize every single thing he says. And so, I'm gonna go into the pool, and then I'm gonna get... Like, that's how he talked the whole movie. And he had, like, the longest kill of the movie. He jerked off. He goes to their bathroom and jerks off for, like, 10 whole minutes. And it is like, wow, God, I was so glad that guy got killed off quick. And the pizza guy comes in the middle of him jerking off, and so the killer gets distracted. And the pizza guy sees the killer has a weapon, and he says, whoa, you're not going to kill me with that, are you? That was pretty funny. And so the whole movie, I was kind of wondering who is the killer, because I knew that the guy that she falsely accused, the main girl, Blair, I knew that the guy she falsely accused would come back into the mix at some point. But it's funny because he actually doesn't. He never comes back in the movie. He's also Nancy's brother. So it's funny, he never comes back to the movie. He's in the beginning of the movie, and he's a red herring. He's just a giant red herring. And then at the end of the movie, it turns out that the killer is Blair's brother. And I was a little surprised by that. I was a little surprised. The brother is also played by the director writer of the movie. And I could kind of tell that. Now, this would be my next flaw of the movie is that, look, I obviously would be a hypocrite for complaining because I write, direct, and star in all of my movies. And I really don't care if people don't like that or not. But the way that he played this character, he almost played him like a character in like a comedy skit, to where he was very much in on the joke, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm pretty crazy. Have you seen what I did?" And maybe he was trying to make it like creepy and scary, but to me it came off as like jokey and kind of like, again, like a comedy character. And I didn't like that because he just felt too much like a joke. And then he ends up getting killed off with like one stab. Nancy, she grabs this machete that was in a door, and she's like, "Ah!" And she runs at the killer and stabs him once in the stomach, and then he just falls over and says, "Nice one, Nancy." And she gets away, after dealing with Blair. But I just thought that was really stupid, and I thought that it was really underwhelming. I know they only had $6,000, so I'll give them a little bit of slack, but at the same time, like, that is a legitimate flaw. I mean, yeah. Like, you just think about Friday the 13th. Now, I don't like that movie. I don't like the first one. But that final chase and fight between Alice and Pamela, it's really scary, and it's really suspenseful. It's really, really creepy, and I just wish that they had captured some kind of like a creepy final chase fight scene like that, instead of making it like, oh, she runs through the house, and okay, that was a nice part because she had some tres leches cake, and it was amazing. But then to just stab that guy and he's dead, I didn't like that. And then he wasn't even dead because they had the shot at the end. He's still alive, and so obviously they could make a pool party too. And then hopefully Nancy returns so that she can run more in the sequel. And this time they should do like an extended chase sequence and really just chase her as long as possible, because that would be a good movie. But anyways, let's see, what else could I say about this movie? Because the music isn't great. The music is definitely bad. But yeah, whatever. It's still, I had a lot of fun with this movie. It was funny. It was fun. A lot of it was like a comedy, though. Like, people would just go off, they'd get killed, and then you'd have like 10 minutes of jokes. And I would say, again, my biggest complaint is the pool party itself, because it didn't look like a pool party that I would go to. And I think that was by design. And so, whatever. It is what it is. I can tell that the people who made the movie, they must have had a lot of fun making it. And another thing is, I would definitely watch this movie again. Like, I was surprised at how much I liked the movie, even though I did have my flaws. Like, I just thought the killer was a surprise. And even though you know that he's the killer, it surprisingly, it doesn't ruin the movie's rewatch value. So I would say that's another good thing, too. There's a lot of horror movies where you find out who the killer is. Scream 6. Well, that whole movie is a disaster. But, like, you find out who the killer is, and it just ruins the whole movie. And that third act in Scream 6, that was the worst part of the movie, for sure. But, yeah, I can't believe that this movie was made in 2017, 2016, It just feels like such a long time ago, but it wasn't, but it was. Like, it's a really weird thing. It's kind of sad, because 2017 was an interesting year. And I wonder, like, because I never heard about this movie. So it just shows, too, there's a lot of movies that just, they come out and you don't hear anything about them. And especially smaller movies like this. And I was also surprised that a lot of the actresses in the movie, they haven't been in anything else. And I was kind of surprised by that. In particular, Blair. The actress who played Blair, she really came off like she has done something before. And she, she was perfect at playing like a mean girl and being really just nasty and awful. And I was really surprised that she had never done anything else since. And, yeah. Let's see. Did I forget anything? I don't want to forget anything this time. Not that I've forgotten anything lately. But yeah, I guess that's really all there is to say. I would highly recommend this movie. It's a good, fun, well, I've said the word fun like 1,000 times, but it's true. Like, there's no better word to describe this movie. There's no better word. I mean, this movie really, it helps you escape, have a fun experience, and say the word fun 1,000 times when you do a review about it. So what can't you love about the movie? Oh, I will say, the way that the movie's shot, like, the one thing that I would say about the look of the movie is that I wish they had done the color grading differently. Because the way that the color grading is, the movie kind of looks like a porn movie. Like a softcore porno. It has that look. And I would know, because I've watched a lot of pornos. Especially for this channel. Last year, I did, or the year before, what was that movie? The Witches movie, and it was like a porno movie, and I did a commentary on the whole fucking thing. That movie looks like this movie. It has that same, almost like desaturated look, and I wish that they had, I mean, the poster is so colorful and fun. And so I wish that they had put more color into the movie, make it more colorful and fun looking like a real 80s movie. Because, they talked about Ferris Bueller in the movie. Ferris Bueller is a colorful movie. Because back then in the 80s, they wouldn't do this where they would shoot a movie and then suck the color out of it. Like they would shoot a movie and they would put a lot of color in the movie with like lighting and stuff. But they wouldn't like desaturate it afterwards. Like they only do that nowadays because of some kind of bullshit like realism thing. And I just think that was a mistake with this movie. But anyways, highly, highly recommend this movie. In terms of food, it's really tough. Every year we have pulled pork on certain holidays, usually Memorial Day, Labor Day, and that's pretty much it. The pulled pork is pretty much almost always good. But this year, the person who makes it also decided to cook these chicken legs. And chicken legs are my favorite part of the chicken. Well, I had one of these legs for lunch today, and there was a part of it where it was just covered in a mysterious, like, burned powder. And it tasted really burned, powdery. It was really bad. But then the rest of it was actually really good, and it was normal, and it had a nice amount of sauce on it. And I thought that it was a really good chicken leg. And so that's kind of what this movie is like. It's like a chicken leg that, was not really cooked very well. But, at least there's some sauce on it, and it's a lot of fun, as I've said for the millionth time. So, yeah, please like this video and comment. Tell me what you thought of Pool Party Massacre. And what happened to the actresses who were in this movie? Like, because it's not just because I wanted to see them more because I thought that some of them were really hot. I was genuinely curious to see, like, had they done any other, like, low budget horror movies, but, like, no. And, like, but did they get killed off, like, in the movie? Is that what happened to them? Like, I genuinely am so, like, intrigued. And then please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see more honest movie reviews. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon.